Welcome back, Explorer. We hope you brought your swimsuit, because Level 7 is considerably more, well, let's say, immersive than the previous levels. And we mean that in the entirely literal sense. If you happen to suffer from Thalassophobia, I'm afraid you're about to have a truly terrible time. But really, given the near infinite number of Backrooms levels out there, there's going to be at least one or two that are perfectly tailored to your specific personal phobias. Oh, doesn't it feel wonderful to be represented? Welcome to Level 7, Landlubber. First things first though, as soon as you enter Level 7, you pop out into the entrance room. This is about as typical as things get here, so do take the time to drink it all in and appreciate the familiarity before we send you into the madness that lurks beyond the walls. This room doesn't seem that odd, by Backroom standards at least. There's a large bookcase against the left wall, filled with a variety of bizarre, unknown books you've never heard of before. Not that you were ever the bookish type out there. But that's not the only furniture in the room. You've also got a small coffee table, a chair, a fluorescent light overhead, and a number of other miscellaneous pieces. There are also some items that other prior explorers have left behind, perhaps to make what follows a little easier. You notice a rebreather and a series of oxygen tanks that you can only hope are full. You wonder for a moment whether you're meant to be exploring the large but relatively shallow puddle sitting in the middle of the room. A cursory check with the ruler you brought with you, thankfully, proves that this puddle really is just a regular puddle. This, naturally, causes your attention to turn to the mysterious door on the other side of the room. You've learned to trust the significance of strange doors in the backrooms. You approach with caution, taking the small revolver you've been packing for a few levels now out of your pocket. You slowly open the door, only to see a defiance of physics that almost breaks your brain to even consider. It's as though you're looking down on an ocean, perhaps 5 meters from you. Somehow, the wall that seems like a sidewall here is the ceiling to the ocean below. Talk about trippy. But your mind has already spent some time adjusting to the strangeness of this world. You're already thinking of potential solutions. If you can find some rope in this room, you can create a passage between these two gravitationally displaced zones. So that's exactly what you do. You find a rope, anchor it to one of the larger pieces of furniture in the room, and drop the other half down towards the ocean. Brilliant move, Explorer. Next, you consider the need for a vessel. Perhaps you can create a makeshift raft out of items in the room. How clever, you think to yourself. I'm really getting a handle on this whole thing at long last. You decide to pour the books out of the bookcase and use the other items around the room to modify it into a makeshift raft. You also stock your backpack with the rebreather and various oxygen tanks. With all this and the supplies you already have, crossing the ocean should be a piece of cake. You throw your makeshift raft down into the depths and rappel down the rope towards it, feeling like some classic adventure hero. Soon enough, you're sailing smoothly across what feels like an infinite expanse of dark, rolling water. You feel like you're at Point Nemo, the part of Earth's ocean that is further from any point of land on the planet. Even with all your supplies, there would come a point when thirst and hunger would drive you mad, all the way to the grave. But hopefully, you tell yourself, you'll find something resembling civilization, or at least whatever passes for it in the backrooms before then. You notice there's no sky up above, just an endless concrete ceiling 5 meters above you. And despite the lack of light sources, everything seems to have at least a dim glow down here. You sail for a while, remembering how much you enjoyed learning about seafaring pirates as a kid. You're just living the dream out here, aren't you? You turn your eyes downwards into the black depths of the mysterious ocean and notice something a little strange. You can't see any fish, literally any of any variety. It's like the ocean itself is just dead. Something you've learned about the backrooms is that oftentimes the absence of entities can be just as anxiety-inducing as their overt presence. Certain frightening questions begin to plague your mind, like, were there never other creatures down there? Or worse, did someone else down there kill them? Your frightening existential musings are interrupted by a sudden act of shocking violence. A spear suddenly protrudes from the bottom of your raft. Its tip appears to be some creature's fang, sharpened to an even deadlier point. There's something uniquely terrifying about this. Up until now, you haven't encountered an aggressive Backrooms entity that was capable of using tools and weapons. Things just went up a level in danger. But you can't really concern yourself with the wider implications of this act when something underwater is still trying to smite you. The spear comes up through the floor of the raft again and again. You're lucky that you're able to dodge each strike, but that doesn't stop water from flooding into the raft, quickly causing it to sink. The spear comes up through the ground again, and you fall backwards off the boat, into the water. You scramble to put on the rebreather as the icy cold of the water steals your last gasp. As your eyes adjust, you see the monster destroying your beautiful raft. You'd learn later that people call this creature Tiny. It's a terrifyingly fast and aggressive humanoid fisherman that rules the upper echelons of the ocean here on level 7. It's almost difficult to make him out through the water, but you can clearly see spots of bioluminescence on his lithe, athletic body. It's difficult to tell where Tiny's body ends and the twisted hide of another aquatic creature he's wearing begins. You're just immensely thankful he hasn't seemed to notice you. Instead, he's stabbing away at your sinking raft. His voice carries on out of him in a warbling psychic vibration, a telepathic war cry of dominance and supremacy. He yells,
"Another weakling felled by the master of the Black Waters. What a pathetic disappointment."
You remain completely still, sucking in the stale oxygen of the rebreather as Tiny finishes tearing the raft apart and swims off in another direction. Your silence has saved your life in this moment, because Tiny has the ability to detect sounds from miles away if they're loud enough, and trace them immediately to their source. If you'd panicked and thrashed around, you would have taken a spear right through the face, which seriously would have impeded your ability to adventure through the backrooms. But even with Tiny gone, you're still in the middle of an alien ocean without a paddle. You take a deep breath and try to channel your years of playing Subnautica. Perhaps you begin to think the only way out of this hell is down. That's certainly been the case in other Backrooms levels, so why wouldn't it be the case here? All you need to do is steel yourself and begin your dive. After all, if Tiny has killed everything else here, you at least know he's the only creature you have to deal with on this level, right? Currently, you're up on the highest level of the ocean, known as the Twilight Zone. It's the least overtly strange and anomalous of the areas you'll find in here, save for the fact it's one of Tiny's favorite hunting grounds. It's pretty much completely barren, with the exception of salt water and a pervasive sense of ennui. You keep going deeper, beginning to faintly worry about the very real possibility you'll run out of air. Thankfully for you, at least, the air of level 7 has a special quality that allows you to hold it in your lungs for much longer than conventional air. So if anything is killing you underwater today, it won't be the lack of air. Does that feel comforting at least? It should. Eventually, after what feels like an eternity of swimming, you make like Rod Serling and enter the Twilight Zone, the next level below the Daylight Zone you were just occupying. As the name suggests, it's a lot darker than the previous level, but that's not all. You turn around and see strange detritus floating through the dark and freezing water around you. Pieces of rusted metal, mysterious bone fragments, and in some cases whole skeletons, from both unknown aquatic mammals and mysterious, unearthly fish. This whole place seems to genuinely be nothing more than some kind of watery mass grave. As you get further into the Twilight Zone, you can even feel the pressure growing around your body. Part of you thinks that maybe you should turn around and swim back up to the top. But for what? For Tiny to impale you on his spear? You hold your breath and change the canister on your rebreather. You're committed now. You need to keep going deeper and deeper. Soon you reach the next level, an even greater vista of pure darkness and suffocating water pressure. You take out your powerful flashlight and shine it through the deep, dark gloom, seeing skeletons with structures that don't even seem to make sense anymore. This is because you're in the Midnight Zone. We'll give you the good news and the bad news. The good news is that Tiny doesn't dare stray down here, so you're safe from him. The bad news is that it's because something else has claimed this territory. You go deeper, trying to remain calm despite yourself. You're so deep now that the pressure feels like hands all around you, pushing in as though they're trying to force you into a shoebox. Welcome to the upper abyss, explorer. This level is so dark that even your flashlight is having trouble finding the way out there. You wonder for a moment, did something move in that deep and distant dark? Something impossibly big? Well, we hate to tell you this, but yes it did. Meet the thing on level 7. This giant aquatic abomination is the other creature that shares level 7 with Tiny. It's a giant eel-like monster, with a giant mouth capable of swallowing whole buildings in a single gulp, and a tail that's approximately 11,000 meters long. It's also omnivorous and hates humans, giving it all the reason in the world to brutally devour them. And contrary to its brutish deep-sea appearance, the thing on level 7 is actually an extremely intelligent being, with the capacity for advanced tactical thinking. While it isn't able to communicate telepathically or verbally, it has been shown to have the capacity to write, as we know from its critically successful and commercially popular series of self-published books. Eating People in the Upper Abyss of Level 7 and Me, This Sort of Thing Is My Bag, Baby, by The Thing on Level 7. We recommend checking the books out, honestly. Despite him being a giant, terrifying aquatic horror, The Thing on Level 7's prose undeniably has a certain degree of charm and wit, compared to some of the works of Bill Bryson or David Sedaris. Incidentally, you can find them in the entrance room bookshelf if you were the kind of person with enough curiosity to actually look for them, rather than just turning the bookshelf into an ill-fated raft. You wisely decide to turn off your flashlight, because the thing on level 7 is extremely sensitive to light, and would likely see it as a very good reason to devour you. That's why you decide to continue the mission as discreetly as possible, and continue swimming lower into the abyss as the great body of the Leviathan roils above you. Eventually, while you feel like the pressure is on the precipice of turning your bones into powder, you find your way deep enough to see what appears to be a vast underwater network of mountains and cave systems. This is new, you think. Perhaps a way out? And once again, you think correct. You swim up slightly into the bottom of the Midnight Zone, where you see an unimaginably huge mountain, bigger than anything you can imagine on Earth. You approach, seeing something glowing on the side of the mountain. An opening, a cave mouth. You approach the almost mystical promised aperture, beyond eager to leave this aquatic nightmare behind and pass over to the other side at long last. Want to stay tuned for the next exciting exploration into the Backrooms as we delve deeper and deeper into this liminal abyss? Be sure to subscribe to the Backrooms Explained and turn on notifications so you never miss another expedition. Now go check out Level 8 Cave System for more exercises into Backrooms terror.